Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Sit Down Rolling. Matthew here, and instead of a normal episode, today we have a bit of a recap on episode 36, purely because there were some audio issues with the actual recording of episode 36, and instead of kind of uploading that disaster of an episode, the audio was all over the place, so instead of uploading that, I'm just going to do a quick recap. Luckily, the rest of the episode look to be fine, and if there are any issues, we're going to try and fix them. So let's begin with a bit of a recap on what happened. In the last session, in the last game, the group were in Zealand and they battled against Torzaris. And after this kind of very difficult and rough fight for the group, they were rescued by Erwin, who teleported them with Leah to Arcanum, the capital city of Janholt. When they arrived in Janholt, they were kind of kept in this kind of small apartment building in one of the Seven Sanctums, or one of the towers of the Seven Sanctums, until Erwin, accompanied by Magius Eskin, one of the leaders of the Seven Sanctums, basically let them out of the room. And they would let to go free in the city. They were just held in there for a while as a bit of a meeting was going on between several mages of the world. The group then headed out into the city, and being told by Erwin to return to the tower maybe the day after, if they want to be teleported somewhere, either back home or wherever in the world they want to go to continue their adventures. The group kind of split up. Half the group went to get their injuries healed, while the other half looked for somewhere to rest. Those that were injured, specifically Erdan, Krazel, and Caro, headed to the Temple of Mistra to get any of their major injuries healed, while the rest of the group headed out to look for somewhere to rest. They came across a very, very fancy hotel called the Arcanus Rest, where they spent quite a bit of money renting out the penthouse, where they basically rested there for the next few days. That evening, the group all gathered together and had a very nice meal atop the the rooftop bar and grill, where they met with Vixis, their old Raven contact, who had been conducting some research. He gave the group information about how he suspected the cult of Clisius were attempting to resurrect Cerseus. They were going to old battle sites and investigating, trying to find the remains of Cerseus. The group had also encountered a series of earthquakes recently, which they kind of combined a few dots together to believe that these earthquakes were linked to the cult digging up certain areas in an attempt to find Cerseus' remains. The following day, with this information, the group pretty much went shopping and conducted some research to try and narrow down where they could try and find and stop the cult from resurrecting Cerseus. Of course, while they were also mixing with shopping for magical items, etc. They bought a few things, a few kind of minor magical items to help them, but quite a few of the more powerful items that would be more useful were a little bit out of their price range at the minute. But nevertheless, they gathered what magic items they could and took up some work in the meantime, while Caro specifically headed to Dedication's Court, a Radiant Assembly base, the main one within Janholt, where he spoke with the leader of Dedication's Court, who told him that there were several locations where Cerseus' remains could be. The Radiant Assembly had a little bit more information than most did on the remains of Cerseus, as she was indeed a devil, so they kind of took an interest in her. And he told them that there were two potential locations the cult hadn't searched out, but they combined this information with Vixis' research and information to confirm that was either her remains, were either in Icemount or in Zakima. The group then kind of decided what they were doing, and to fill the time, before they made the decision, they went on a little bit of a quest with the Adventurers Guild to clear out the sewers of face spiders. They kind of quickly went through this quest, easily killed the face spiders, and then basically came to a decision to head to Icemount. They spoke with Erwin, I believe it was Erwin, who teleported them to a small town in Icemount, before the group, accompanied by Leah, continued their journey to the potential burial site. Caro made a quick prayer to Bahamut to try and help guide him to find the remains of Cerseus. However, upon making this prayer, he didn't receive any information. But once they arrived in Icemount, Caro's shield began to almost pulse, like a tracking beacon or like a radar. And as they got closer and closer to the remains of Cerseus, it kind of began to pulse, and this kind of silvery golden light flashed faster and faster. The group arrived just as an earthquake finished, and what they saw was a kind of large, burrowed out kind of hole in the snow. And inside were many cultists, as well as these kind of large, what are called burrows, these kind of large worm-like creatures covered in like a metallic chitinous armor that were used to dig up the ground. In addition to a few figures they recognized, one being Torzeros, who they recently battled only a few days before, and the second being Garidora, the hag of the Sisters of Night, the hags they fought very, very early on in the game. There were also several other figures there. Was specifically a figure in kind of black robes with a mask who they had not seen before, who was kind of leading this resurrection ritual. The group deciding to try and stop this resurrection and to battle against the cultist called in a few favors. They spoke Idris's name and called forth the Deva Idris, who they helped rescue from Duplex a little bit before they traveled to Zealand and Slavonia. He came to assist, and they also got in touch with the Divine Warden, who they made a bit of an arrangement with to come and help them deal with Cerseus and Torzeros, as well as the cult of Calisius. And we pretty much wrapped off with the group's angel allies arriving, and the group planning on what they were going to do to attack. And that was it. A pretty short episode of researching, shopping, and a small little quest of the Dangerous Guild, while the group put together a few chunks of information they got from Dedications Court, their own research, and Vixis. And yeah, next episode, episode 37, is quite a good one. It's one of my favourites. It's a very long, it's pretty much an entire episode of combat, and a lot happens. So looking forward to people seeing that probably very soon. So yeah, that was my very quick recap. And this, just for context, this episode was recorded about a year ago. As the system really guarantee is, these episodes will come out, no time to close to when they were recorded at the minute. But yeah, I probably missed a few things. They probably did another couple of things, but like I said, the audio file was messed up and it was impossible to listen to, and I couldn't go through and check it. All I've got is my notes, and knowing this group, they do nothing that I plan, because that is the nature of D&D. And yeah, so this is okay. I'm hoping not to do too many of these in the future. I'm hoping just to get all of the episodes up and recorded and edited nicely. But if you like this kind of video and you want to see kind of maybe some of these linked in with other episodes, I'll be happy to do that. It saves people watching through many, many hours of our content, and maybe we might just do a big kind of recap of a bunch of episodes that happened. But yeah, we've got a few ideas floating around, a few things we're going to do soon, especially moving forward with Sit Down Rolling. But our current plan is to get as many episodes up as we can, and hopefully before October try and catch up with recordings, maybe November, but at least by the end of the year we're going to try and get every episode up and try and upload our episodes weekly from there. So thank you very much for watching this episode, everybody. I do hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time when we Sit Down Rolling. Bye guys.